I suspect that most of you have had some sort of exposure to this means of elicitation. Either you have been the interviewee or perhaps you have actually interviewed others. Regardless, this method can be very effective in both establishing the need as well as coming up with the necessary requirements. There are two basic types of interviews. We either have the structured interview, where the interviewer has a predefined set of questions and is looking for answers, or the unstructured interview without any predefined questions. The interviewer and the interviewee discuss topics of interest in an open-ended way. Successful interviews depend on several factors, including and not limited to the level of understanding of the domain by the interviewer, experience of the interviewer in conducting interviews, skill of the interviewer in documenting the discussions, readiness of the interviewee to provide the relevant information, degree of clarity in the interviewee's mind about what the business requires of the target system. So what should we follow here? The business analyst considers the following questions when identifying who should be interviewed. Who holds the most authentic and most current information on the subject of interest? What is the stake of the initiative? What is the relative importance of information held by one person relative to that held by another person? This information is helpful when analyzing conflicting comments across interviews. Then we move on to the design. The interviewer may need to custom design the interview for each identified interviewee. The interviewee's ability to participate in the desired outcome of an interview govern the design of an interview. In addition, these factors are also considered. There are two types of questions one can pose within an interview. The first category would be a closed-ended question, and they're used to elicit a single response, such as a yes or a no or a specific number. Example, how many hours does it take for a claim process to be completed? The second type is called an open-ended question. These are questions that are used to elicit dialogue or a series of steps. They cannot be answered in a yes or no fashion, but need explaining. Example, what does a claim processor do on receipt of a claim form? After the interview is completed, the interviewer organizes the information and sends the notes to the interviewee for review. Documenting the discussion for review allows the interviewee to see all of the information in context. This review may point out items that are incorrect or missing because the interviewer or scribe misdocumenting them, or because the interviewer or the scribe documented them incorrectly, or because the interviewee missed discussing them. This review is not intended to address whether or not the requirements are valid, nor whether they will be ultimately approved for inclusion into the deliverables, but to solely determine if the interview had been accurately documented. Very often we run across the question, which technique is the most effective to fill in performing elicitation? And certainly it depends on the objective. Here I would like to refer to a study that came out in 1993 called The Voice of the Customer. And the authors were Abby Griffin and John Hauser. The information on this paper can be found within the referral section of this course. The authors compare the effectiveness of focus groups versus interviews, and although focus groups allow you to collect data from a number of people at once, the authors claim that by performing effective interviews, an average of 10 users can supply you with 90% of your requirements. That was quite interesting. Well, I appreciate you sitting this video lecture through and look forward to seeing you in the next installment.